In this video, we want to talk about argumentative speaking with the topic mental health should be taught in schools. We will explain the importance of mental health and should not be underestimated. Let's start it!
Introduction. Mental health is the level of psychological well-being or an absence of mental illness. Mental health includes our emotional, psychological, and social well-being. It affects how we think, feel, and act. It also helps determine how we handle stress, relate to others, and make choices. Mental health is important at every stage of life, from childhood and through adulthood. Teens spend most of their day at school. It just makes sense to have mental health awareness and education become part of the curriculum. When we empower students with knowledge and encourage dialogue, students will be able to get the help they need. It's highly important to raise mental health awareness in school since young people are seriously affected by mental health issues every day. They need a system they can rely on and a source of information to guide them through the process of dealing with their inner issues. Some factors that contribute to mental health problems including 1. Biological factors such as genes or brain chemistry. 2. Life experience such as trauma or abuse. 3. Family history or mental health problem.
Students nowadays face a range of demands that can impact their mental health, from meeting high academic expectations to handle the world of social media to maintaining relationships with their friends. Students often have busy schedules that cause many students lack of sleep and self-care. Poor mental health can have several detrimental effects on children and youth. Not only affect academic performance, but it may also affect social relationships and physical health. Children who suffer from mental illnesses have a greater risk of developing physical health problems such as heart disease, diabetes, and cancer. They are also more likely to be a victim of violent crime. There is no health without mental health. If our youth are not mentally well, we will not be physically well. Despite an increase in the availability of mental health resources such as counseling and various treatment options, rates of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression continue to rise. Many students are also dealing with distress, crisis, and trauma. Mental health problems can negatively impact all aspects of students, like contributing to social, emotional, behavioral, and academic problems. That's why, in this case, we agree that mental health education in schools is an important thing.
According to Director of the Dharma Wangsa Sanatorium Hospital, Dr. Richard Budiman, cases of depression in children are very common. Depression experienced by children at the age of students. Millions of people globally are affected by mental illness. Meanwhile, Indonesia has 6.1% of diagnosis of depression. Unfortunately, about 91% of patients are not treated for some reasons. And the worst is the highest level of depression in Indonesia is experienced by students.
Global School-Based Student Health Survey in Indonesia said that teenage girls who have suicidal idea reach 5.9%, while teenage boys 4.3%. While the data of students aged 13 until 17 years who have done suicide attempts teenage boys reach 4.4%, while teenage girls 3.4%. And not surprisingly, many parents have reported poor mental health outcomes in their children throughout the pandemic. Research from October 2020 showed that 31% of parents said their child's mental or emotional health was worse than before the pandemic.
In 2020, Indonesia predicted that there will be more people who are depressed, even have suicidal thoughts. World Health Organization even predicts depression will become a disease with the second highest number of cases after heart disease. The most common causes of depression and suicide for students are: first, feeling lonely and less of attention from parents. Even if the student has many friends, he or she can still feel lonely too. Second, bullying. Bullying is also one of the common problems that often happens at schools. Third, sexual harassment. Fourth, several pandemic-related factors may negatively impact students' mental health. Social distancing and stay-at-home orders could lead to loneliness and isolation among children. Students are reported to have encountered various challenges during the pandemic, including the boredom of learning from home and the demand for optimal learning outcomes, which resulted in the high prevalence of mental health problems among students during the COVID-19 pandemic. Some proof of depression and suicide cases. First, a student of SMPN 147 Ciracas, East Jakarta, with the initials SM, 14 years old, died after attempting a suicide attempt at her school on Tuesday, January 14, 2020. 2. Singapore reported 452 suicides in 2020, the nation's highest count since 2012, amid the isolation and psychological distress brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic.
However, there are still many people who ignore the number of cases of depression and suicide, especially among students. They keep thinking that someone's mental health is not important. They think everyone's mental health is just their own business. The words they often say when they see someone who is depressed and think about suicide are, "People like that is just a lack of faith. They're not close enough to God. They're not grateful about their life. Their problems is nothing compared to other people's problems. They have no right to complain. Depression is just craziness. Go see a doctor. They're just children. Their life problems are not as heavy as an adult's. Don't overreact. They're just some attention seekers. There's nothing we can do about their mental illness. The only person who can help them is themselves. Just deal with it." In fact, a student who is depressed and even think of suicide is a child who is cheerful, kind, faithful, smart, has many caring friends and lovely parents. Depression doesn't look at age. It can attack anyone, no matter who you are. A student who looks fine at school can be a depressed fighter at home. It's just they didn't dare enough to talk about it, didn't know who to tell. They threw it, they had no one to share with, that no one who cared about their story. And we never know what the person has gone through, how hard their problems are. We have no right to judge that A's problems are more hard than B's problems. We don't deserve to call someone weak or crazy when he or she tells us about suicidal thoughts. Depression isn't crazy. It's not a way to get attention. It's not lack of faith. We can be faithful, rich, love, and still feel depressed.
However, although many people think that mental health is not so important to learn, it wouldn't wrong for us to try to prevent and increase the percentage of depression and suicide cases in students. Schools need to initiate changes and get as many people, students, teachers, or other school employees to work on raising mental health awareness. Start with yourself and initiate a change in your school today. Just as physical education is part of the curriculum in schools, mental health awareness and education should be too. Children spend most of their day at school. We need to be empowered with knowledge about mental illness. Students are impacted by mental illnesses in a number of ways. No matter how a student is affected by mental illness, they need information and resources in order to deal with it. They need to know what mental illnesses are and be able to identify signs of mental illness in themselves or others. They need to know where they can go to ask for help if they or someone they care about is exhibiting signs of mental illness, and they need to know that they are not alone. Mental health issues often begin during the school age years. Therefore, that education about mental health should also start at an early age. So, mental health education logically should begin in schools.
Finally, we have come to the end of the video. I hope this video is helpful for you. Thank you for watching.